Hello everyone, I am Priyanka from ARINGO and this is our episode 12 of the Coffee Chat series. I am joined by our CEO, Jenifer. Hi Jen.
Hi.
Jen, today we are covering a topic that is very common. The questions keep coming in our inboxes. How to stand out as an overrepresented MBA applicant. We have people from tech side, we have people from finance side, consulting side, everybody, thinking that they belong to this pool, but they do not know how to differentiate themselves. So that is what we will be talking about. So before we start, I would say that our chat box is open for any questions in case you have. So keep writing in your questions, and we will take up towards the end when I will do our question and answer segment. Okay. Jenifer, the applications are open now. If people have been, logging into the schools and seeing it, a lot of top schools have their essays live, have their deadline set. So round one has officially started. The clock is actually
Yeah.
ticking now. So how do we take this part, the overrepresented pool? What is there to talk about? Who are the people in it?
Yeah. So the race really is on. Priyanka, like once the first application deadline or essays get published, it really is kind of this race for the finish line for September. So here's the truth about top tier MBA admissions. Simply being a high achiever just isn't enough anymore. And so when you come from a professional background or a demographic that sends thousands of applications, even an excellent profile can start to look pretty average to the tired admissions reader who's looking through thousands of applications.
Exactly. I mean, the GMAT, people think, we're done with the GMAT, we got the highest score, and half the battle is already won. But it is not as simple as it looks. It is not a statistics game. MBA schools are looking to unique people, profile, and how can they add value to their class, to their school, to their alumni, etc. So the statistics or GPA, GMAT alone are not something that, the schools are looking at. So before we start, Jenifer, can you please tell me that what kind of people we are talking about when we say overrepresented pool of applicants? I mean, what all people lie in this, and why is that the school see them a bit differently than other applicants?
Yeah, so I hate to be so blunt, but it's the groups that are facing the heaviest volume that are usually Indian male engineers. I know, and I love my Indian male engineers. We work with maybe 60% of our clients are from India. So I will say we affectionately love the Indian male engineer. It is, a great way to have to find something to stand out. So when we look at those who are like in software and tech, project management, corporate finance folks, or people from the major banking hubs, or even maybe like strategy consultants from global firms, these fields are packed with people who test incredibly well. They score pretty high on the exam, which is starting to set the score bar really high. And so it just keeps naturally getting pushed higher and higher as far as the average goes. And so if your school's average GMAT is a 720 on the old scale and a 655 on the new Focus Edition, then an applicant from a crowded pool might realistically need closer to like a 685 or even a 695 or higher to look pretty serious.
That's right. I mean, as I said, you need to do something different to get, adcoms really appreciate your profile and, get into the eyes of them. And as Jen was saying that, adcoms, they don't hate. Like Jennifer said that every year we get like many applicants who are from this overrepresented pool, but they do get into top schools as well. Okay, so it's not like the school dislike them or have a certain kind of agenda with them. Okay, we are not going to take them. Nothing like that. The point is, the business schools they rely on a dynamic cohort model. So they are, the classroom experience depends a lot on the classroom discussions. So what unique perspective you bring, from your professional life, from your experiences, what that adds to their class. And that is why they're looking with people with, different backgrounds and different demographics.
Yeah, exactly, Priyanka. So think about it. If the admissions team fills half a lecture hall with software engineers who have worked on the exact type of projects and corporate for the same type of corporate, partners, the class discussion will stall out. The perception shifts from this unique future leader to this person who will bring the exact same viewpoint as 50 other people in the room. So if your application looks like a carbon copy of your peers, the committee starts to see your candidacy as a commodity rather than a unique asset to the student body.
Right. So what changes? What change you need to do so the school doesn't look as a commodity? Okay. So, Jenifer, if these people are from similar groups, so their job titles are same, the roles, responsibilities are same. So it is different to unique on the basis of that. I think the only thing that they have in their hand that they can work around is their career narrative, right? I think that works there.
Yeah, so I would say that this is spot on. The biggest mistake a lot of applicants make is that, if they're coming from this overrepresented pool, they want to be the best software engineer or the best strategy consultant, but that's really not making anything very different from each other. So what you really need to do is start to think about things about not that you're the best, but you're different in some other way. And that's when you can start to look either outside the scope of your professional experience and look at what you've done beyond that, or even the unique projects that you've worked on.
Right. So as I said, you cannot change your title, you cannot change your degree. This is what is there in your hand, and that is how you add to your tape. Add to that pile of applicants to stand unique. Your essays needs to bridge that your professional life with your human perspective is what schools are looking at. You want your narrative to explain how your specific life choices, your values, upbringing, or your unique work experiences have given your viewpoint that is different from the lot that you are competing with. So, like you are an IT professional. A lot of other applicants are IT professional, but the adcoms should look at your file something like, oh, he's an IT professional, but see, he has a very different lens in approaching the problems that he has, seen in his or her workplace. So that is how you differentiate from the others. So, Jenifer, we have the problem. Now, let's talk about a bit about the solution part as well. Okay, so there are overrepresented pools who look identical in their job titles, job roles, etc. How will they find their unique niche? Their spike.
Yeah, so I would say you have to look at the intersection of your career goals and your personal life. And instead of telling the school the standard, I'm a tech product management professional, or want to be one, then you want to narrow it down. Talk about wanting to handle the product strategy from agriculture technology or clean energy startups in growth markets. Then you can bring your personal life into the mix. Maybe you have a serious hobby like long distance running, woodworking, or food blogging. So you want to share those elements because they instantly make you memorable to the individual. And I would say, like, I've been on the other side of this, and when you're sitting at the table, you're like, oh yeah, that girl that's the food blogger, we want to, like, let's look at her again, right? Like, so something that stands out that they can kind of grab onto.
That's right. We always say to our candidates, Jennifer, that, okay, you have done well in your job, you have done great in your academics. What is interesting about you? So, extracurriculars and your KRAs beyond your job roles, what different you have done beyond what you're supposed to do. That matters a lot. And that is where we come to the second part. That so one is that find your unique spike, find that niche that makes you stand apart. The second is you need to look beyond your resume. So your essay should not look like something very technical, or just dry list of your daily corporate duties. You need to turn your standard projects into a compelling stories. And Jenifer, can you please shed light how one can do that?
Yeah. So I would say that you want to shift your focus on how you deal with people, not just the data or systems, right? So those are qualifiers, but now what really makes you different or stand out or belong in the class is how you deal with people. The admission committee doesn't really care about what software code you can write or financial models or even, sorry, I know this is going to hurt, but like your scientific journals, I know that they're great and they add to your academic readiness, but unless they're connected directly to your goals, they need something else. So they care about how you've led people through a challenge and how you can focus on the human element. How did you solve a disagreement in your team? Or how did you coach a colleague who was struggling? So that would actually turn something that's pretty boring into a great story about your leadership and helps with having a high EQ. And that's what they're looking for is, balance out this high academic and I would say like technical expertise with the people side of it. That's what they're looking for.
Right. So we have covered these points, as in, you need to be a people person, beyond your technical side of your resume. Okay, how you behave in certain situations at workplace, how you handle disagreements, as Jenifer said, how you respond to failure as well, how you learn from it. Those are also the aspects that admissions committee look at. The third thing where you can also, add value is, and it is generally ignored, it is your recommendation letters. So, if you are trying to be unique, you're trying to be, someone away from the crowd, but your recommender gives you a recommendation. Oh, he's very smart, or she's very, she's great with numbers. She works hard. Those are very generic lines that again makes you get back to your pile of generic candidates,
Yeah.
overrepresented pool. So how can someone, coach their recommenders that they stand out like they are doing in their application, their essays and resume?
Yeah. So you can't just ask them for a favor to write you a letter of recommendation and then walk away. Then you're going to get this generic stuff, right? Like you're going to get, they're a good worker. They attend meetings. They, haven't called out sick very often, right? Especially if they're not used to writing letters of recommendation. So what I usually recommend is if you have this type of relationship, ask them out to coffee. Ask them to sit down with you, and you can provide them like a cheat sheet of like, here, like, I know that we've worked together intensely and this is why I want you to be my recommender, but here's more about my background and what I've done. And here's more about what I want to do. And so you can, try to help round out the picture for them, or even maybe give them a couple of projects that you worked on where you really shined in a crisis, and you want to remind them of that. And a good way to do this is also go back and look at your reviews, right? So if you have annual, quarterly reviews, then this is your time to shine. Those moments when you really made an impact, you can actually take them from there and say like, here, look at my file. So you can ask them to explicitly compare you to their peers, to your peers. And so you might say like, in my 10 years of leading analysts, this candidate stands out because of X. It's exactly what will be setting you apart from the crowd, because those are what the questions are. Like, definitely take a moment to look at the letter of recommendation questions. We have them on the ARINGO website underneath the MBA materials or resources. And so you can see what the AdComs are looking for them. They're looking for a moment that you've been coached and you had to learn from this moment as well. So, remind them of these experiences. They want to see that you're ready for an MBA program, you have something to contribute, and that you're accomplished, and that you're coachable. I would say. So they want to make sure that like you're going to be a value add to the program, not only because of what you bring to the table and how you're going to learn from others, but your openness and readiness for all of it. Sorry.
Yes.
Soapbox.
It's very necessary. I mean, recommenders are something who are senior to you. Okay, those are not a peer group. Okay, you need to tell them, you need to help them. And generally, candidates do not apply to one school. They apply to multiple schools, and that makes the recommenders write multiple recommendation letters. So it's too much favor to us sometimes. It's always helpful, not for them also, it's helpful for you as well, so that you would know what is exactly going into your file. Okay, so it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah.
Okay, let's come to questions, Jenifer. I'll take from the starting. So we have our first question from Shamla. Hi, Shamla. So Jennifer, Shamla is asking, would you suggest we take GMAT over GRE? Those schools claim they take both of them with equal weightage.
So I do think that this is an area where you can take whichever one you do the best in. There are, and adcoms will take it the same, right? Like they don't care as long as you are within their range or close to their range or above their range, right? Like, so it doesn't matter which exam it is. It's more about the performance. Both of these exams test in different ways. The one caveat is like, if you're going into an industry that may require a GMAT score as part of the application process to the job, then you may want to show that you already know and are expecting that. So some of those fields could be like investment banking or consulting. I do think that the tides are turning a little bit, and I would highly recommend talking to some people who just got recruited from that school about, did they ask you to, send over your GMAT score, or were people using their GRE, or is it relevant anymore? Tell me what's going on right now so that I can get the feel of what is expected of me.
Thank you. Jennifer, we have another question from Tanvi. Hi, Tanvi. So I have experience of 3 years as a pharma export entrepreneur and previous experience in pharma export startups. And I'm planning to appear my GMAT in August. If I score around 655 to 675, do you think I could get admitted to Columbia?
Okay, so I would say that you're maybe not necessarily in an overrepresented like maybe as an Indian candidate, maybe, but I would say that you have some really exciting experience that's going to be really different for them. And so not only do you want to leverage that it's a different industry, but you want to share the stories that make sense to why somebody from pharma exports would be relevant in the classroom and what you're going to be able to share with your classmates that other people aren't. So, I mean, like right now, like I'm thinking about a war that could be like impeding shipments or operations, talking about tariffs that could change the pricing of the drugs or goods, on either side of this. And so, there's a lot to talk about, and you can have some really relevant examples of what's going on today for them to be like, wow, like we need this person in our class. And so then a 655 to a 675 is in range, and you remove the issue that they could have of like saying like, okay, so one, their profile is different. Two, we already have a lot of other Indian females. And then we also, you're kind of not detracting, but not adding. So you want to stand out in that way. And 655 to 675 is within range. You're not going to take their GMAT score down. So they could, take a risk on you because you're going to add in your profile by coming from pharma and having this operations experience.
Thanks, Chen. I hope Tanvi that helps. And Tanvi, you can also, share your profile with Jenifer. You can schedule a call with her for profile evaluation, because when we have your CV, when we have all the details, it is easier for someone to evaluate your profile and give you specific answers to your queries. So go ahead and schedule a profile evaluation. Jennifer, can we also have your calendar link in the chat box of
Yeah,
scheduling a session? So if
yeah,
people can
absolutely. I'll send
go
that.
ahead and do that. Yeah. So we're coming to the next question we have from Animesh. Hi, Animesh. She's asking, with the advent of AI, for someone looking to build a career in the fintech industry, particularly in roles like AI product manager, would you recommend pursuing a specialized master's degree such as MSc in financial technology or a traditional MBA? And given that AI-driven fintech roles are still relatively new and only a limited number of top business schools offer dedicated MSc in fintech programs, I would be interested in your perspective on which path provides better long-term opportunities, industry relevance, and career flexibility.
Oh, big question. But
Big question.
you gave me a lot of information, but you didn't tell me what you wanted to do. And that is where we're looking at determining if you want to go into the MSc direction. And this is kind of generic for most people. Like, let's just say that you have an area of expertise and you're deciding between the master's program and an MBA. The master's program is going to give you vertical growth, right? They're going to talk to you about management of, that specific skill set, whether that's, fintech, finance, marketing, whatever it might be. They're going to give you this ratcheted up ladder for you to climb to continue towards that C-level role. So you would stay in that CTO or CFO domain. With an MBA, you're learning about all disciplines or functions, and you're getting a pretty good introduction to them all. Like, you're learning accounting. Yay. And you're learning marketing, you're learning supply chain. So when you graduate, you could technically pivot into another world, or you could manage people in these other fields or functions, right? So then it just depends on what type of growth you're looking for, whether it's a more spread out growth or if it's more of like a vertical growth of like, I love IT, I love finance, like this is where I want to be. I don't see myself managing the entire company, but I want to manage this. Then that's kind of where you decide between the two.
Thanks, Jen. I hope and wish that helps with the query. Next, we have question from Prashant, and that's one of the topics that Jen likes. His recent BBA honors graduate and targeting an MIM or specialized business masters. What is something I should focus on to increase my chances other than the GMAT score? The specialized masters program is something Jenifer loves to talk about.
Yeah, I know. I feel like specialized masters are really this niche way that you can, one, grow very quickly. You don't have to have 3 years of work experience, etc., to be able to fit in or get admitted. And so you can start this really early on your in your career, so you don't have to wait. And if you decide to do the master's in management, some MBA programs are now giving you an expedited MBA path. So like if you already have a MIM, you can continue on with a master's, but only 1 year of an MBA. And that's at, like, I believe, oh my gosh. So LBS has this path now. I also think Duke has this path. There's a couple other schools. So it's something that's becoming a trend now that the master's in management is much more popular. So as far as differentiating yourself for these master's programs, I think that it's more of like, one, the GMAT score is important. You don't necessarily always have a track record professionally, so you want to talk about your track record academically if you can, and that's on the social side, right? Like, you want to talk about your extracurriculars, leadership that you've had, how you balance your time, because no matter which format of a master's degree you go into, MBA or specialized, there's going to be a balance of the academics, the class projects, recruitment, and sometimes, internships and things like that. So they want to see that you can balance it all together and be a value add to their program versus just taking up space in a seat. So that's the best way to really kind of boost your profile for a master's in management.
Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer. Next, we have question from Derek. Hi, Derek. Are there any recommendations on how to improve your extracurriculars between now and round one, or is it more worthwhile to just focus on crafting good story and get good scores?
So if you're lacking in this area and you feel like, okay, like this is kind of where I'm at, I've got my scores, I know what I want to do, but you feel like you're still lacking there. There's kind of two different ways that you can do this. One is easiest option is to get involved at work, right? Like that's a natural path. It's not something you're doing just for the MBA application. So I would say, look at the different CSR activities, or if you're much more on the social side or maybe missing that, maybe the internal events committee, whatever it is, be part of that. And it could even, and I know that this sounds crazy, but it can be a value add for you to even like head up the cricket team or soccer team or whatever it might be. You could be a sports organizer, and that demonstrates leadership and working. The way to highlight that is by talking about working and, being able to be on the field or wherever you are, volunteering with people from different departments and getting to hear their perspectives and how that adds to how you contribute as a member of that company or organization. The other way is find something that's connected. I often talk about a thread. And so if you think about what you did during undergrad as far as like volunteer experience, think about what sounds natural. So let's say that you always liked to tutor younger kids. So it's easy to go and start tutoring again. It's weird if you go and jump over and say like, and now I'm doing a dog rescue. So that seems, a little bit weird or different, whereas I can't connect the dots completely. I mean, maybe I could make up a story, to be honest, but you want to do something that seems a little bit more logical so that the committee sees it as a part of a continuity and versus like something new and abrupt.
Yeah, it should not look direct. It should not look forced in your resume or in your essays and application. It should come out as genuinely involved in something. And as Jenifer said, it is not strictly about, I have ECs checked on my list. It's about, that is another way to show your impact, so your social impact, show your leadership skills, organizing skills, etc. So that helps your overall application. I know the round one is coming up, but you still have time, figure out something in your neighborhood, around your workplace, etc. I'm sure you'll find something there. Okay. Next, the questions about the profile calendar scheduling. Tanvi and Shamala, we have Jenifer has pasted her profile evaluation link, the calendar link to evaluate the profile. Just go to the link, schedule a time, and you can proceed with the session. Yes, next we have a question from Deborah. Hi, Deborah. I hear you on integrating how you communicate, help people into an essay writer. The end result is to say that I'm a person who is ready for an MBA. Are there certain keywords I can throw into my essays to make sure that I'm not boasting, but really showing how that experience had shaped by uh, L and made me a better person when communicating?
Yeah. So I would say if you're trying to show your EQ, that you can use words that make sense to that. Because I mean, like some schools are really specific about wanting somebody with a high IQ and EQ. Stern is like number one for that. I would say that also Kellogg is really big about EQ as well. So yes, it's hard because it seems boastful and you don't want to be, my new favorite word is braggadocious. But you want to seem like I've accomplished something, but I'm still human and really have a lot to learn. Keywords, I don't know that there's 100% like a keyword, and I would try to stay away from jargon, so to say, or like these hot words. I'm trying to think about what they are, but like there are like words that just feel like, oh, this is like, people are just adding this in all the time and it's annoying. I would say just try to be more authentic, right? Like, so if you state the facts hopefully will show what you've done and you've been able to accomplish. And you, Deborah, may be a female. That's a female name in the U.S., but women tend to minimize what they've done and what impact they've had. And so I would say, make sure you look at those statistics, look at the details, so that you kind of come in with this confidence of, I really have accomplished this. I have, really done something phenomenal here, and this is how. Happy to work offline on something specific if you're looking at, if you want more help.
Thanks, Jenifer, for answering, Deborah. We have another question from Pooja Soni. With a GPA of 2.7, 2.5 years of experience at McKinsey & Company, a 2-year maternity break, and a total of 7 years of professional experience, how much can a strong GMAT score help offset the impact of my lower undergraduate GPA in MBA admissions? And what GMAT score range would be considered competitive enough to strengthen my profile and demonstrate academic readiness for a rigorous MBA program?
So, Pooja, you're very lucky that you have McKinsey on your resume. That helps give them a level of confidence in your business acumen, right? You're setting the bar of, I've been trained and I know, the inside and outs of like different departments. I know how business works. And like, I have this level of training that can set me apart. I would say, depending on where a 2.7 falls as far as class ranking. So knowing that CGPA in, potentially in India is not the same as what it is in the US, where people can get like above a 4.0, which makes no sense to me, but it does. That, like, you want to be able to demonstrate where you stood in the class. So if 2.7 did put you in the lower half or in the very middle, then maybe don't, say that part. But if it was in, first class, second class, like, you want to, help boost that to make sense to the AdCom, and remind them that the scale is a little bit different in the school that you attended. If it truly is, that you're a little bit below average, then the GMAT score should be maybe like 20 to 30 points higher than the average to show that academic readiness. There's other ways that you can do this as well. So some people can take like an MBA math course, or a finance course, or some other things. So depending on your school list, each one of these schools has their own kind of like personal way of how they want to see your academic readiness beyond a GMAT score. So like if you talk to Duke Fuqua, they want you to take a course, a finance course or accounting. So, it just depends by school in some of those ways. Like, so you want to figure that out first. Let's look at the school list and then maybe have a conversation with them. And then the other thing is, in your application, you want to leverage your analytical and quantitative skills in the professional world. And I would say if something happened to cause your GPA to be lower, like a family event, an illness, COVID, I would use the optional essay to also talk about it. So then you succinctly say what happened, and then how you recovered from it and how you've grown.
Yes, talk about use the optional essay wisely, authentically. Don't give excuses. Just state what it is, and school understands. This is live. Things happen. But as you mentioned that work. If you get a good GMAT score, it helps. Taking additional courses helps. So do what is there. You can do right now. Okay. Next question we have from Bora. Hi, Bora. Do you think applicants from Canada are overrepresented since they are similar to American candidates, but are in the international pool and do not add as much diversity to the class? Also, if we have a serious side project, growing a big brand, managing finances, marketing, negotiating with venues, and also performing concerts, but are in the technical software engineering role at Morgan Stanley, looking to pivot into more social roles, how can we connect seemingly unrelated extracurriculars and make serious ventures in arts stand out even though it is not related to tech? lot of things going on here.
Yeah, we should schedule our own session. So I will say, one, that Canadian candidates count as international students. They're not going to be seen as overrepresented. I will say that likely there was a decrease in Canadian candidates for the US schools because of all the fun things that have been going on with our geopolitics here in the US. So if that's where you're applying, not overrepresented at this point. And then I would leverage the differences, right? So with very limited knowledge, I will say that I know that different parts of Canada speak English and French, and they have maybe slightly different cultures. And then there's also, I know this sounds very simple, but a different monetary system. And so if you worked in the financial side of things, you do have an expertise of the Canadian market versus the US market versus the global market, et cetera. So think about those things. Okay, so now new topic of connecting, what you've been doing as far as growing a band. So that's cool. That's really, really, really fun. I don't know 100% like exactly what I would say, but I'm assuming that you didn't just start having this passion for music. It hopefully grew early on, but you realized you needed some sort of skills to be, professional skills to move into a professional role. And you've been, lucky enough and working hard that it has kind of accumulated that it's, a side gig is maybe the equivalent, right? And be able to talk about the business side of it, the finance, the marketing, et cetera, the logistics. And I think that you can talk about where you're wanting to go and how you see yourself using what you've learned from Morgan Stanley to move into this new realm, whatever that might be, and connect those dots of what you've really enjoyed between the two and how they can grow and continue into your new career.
Thanks, and I hope more that answers. Next, we have a question from Amol Rane. Hi, Amol. For an MBA program at institutes like LBS, ISB, or INSEAD, what would you consider a safe GRE score for an overrepresented candidate's Indian engineer male? Would appreciate the quant and verbal split as well. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I would say that you want to, they're going to be looking for between, this is hard, right? Like, because this is a lot of schools. 320 to 330 is going to be your zone. And, obviously 50-50 split is amazing. Every school would prefer that the quant side be a little bit higher because of the rigor that's now involved in all of these quantitative classes. So that's how I would balance it. And it's really hard to find the GRE average scores for these schools because they don't publish them. So again, like if you can start to, I would think of these as kind of close to the M7 as far as GRE averages go. And so their average score is going to be closer to like a 330, but with a GRE score, schools tend to accept a wider range. And so they may even go down to like a 325 or 322. Like that's where you can kind of see this range. Now, if you're overrepresented at these schools, I think ISB is like an exception, right? Like it's your home school. So obviously you're going to be an overrepresented, but it's not the same. So I would say that like 330 would be my goal. And then you kind of figure out how to make up for it if it's less in the other ways.
All right. And so as Jen said, go to the average scores, look at that, and you are overrepresented, add some more points to it, and that is where you should be safe at maybe. Another question, Jenifer, I also see in our registered leads list. So there was a question about like if you are from an overrepresented pool of candidates, is there a difference between you applying to round one and round two? I mean, you should definitely applying to round two. Is that the must thing? And or you should wait, let the class fill in, and then you start give your application in round two. So how does it work there?
So I will say that typically for most MBA programs, there's not a huge difference between round one and round two. They'll accept a higher percentage of students in round one. And you would technically be, the first, and there's not somebody else admitted to the program in that seat yet with a similar profile. So, if everything aligns for round one for you to have a strong score, stand out, and have everything well thought out for round one, go for it. But if you don't have this story or the score, then I would wait for round two. I would say beyond round two, it gets shaky depending on the school, right? Like HEC Paris has 10 rounds. So if it's round two, it's not as big of a deal. But I would say for the traditional, September, January intakes, or not intakes, but round one, round two, then, if you're not feeling ready, that you have a strong enough profile to compete with everybody else in your pool, then I would wait for round two to get everything in a line and be really confident going in.
Right. So I think when your profile is strong enough, when your application is the strongest, optimally there, apply there, irrespective of the rounds. Another question, Jenifer. I also saw that we talk a lot about unique career goals, etc. If somebody has very standard career goals, I want to go into strategic consulting, okay, and coming from again, very overrepresented pool of background, is there a way to make it niche, or is it just boring and the outcomes would reject it?
Yeah, so I would say that you find your niche, right? And so if your profile and goals are pretty boring, then find a way to make your personal, outside stand out. And then if that's not even possible or something like that, I would say you need to give them a good, solid reason as to why you need the generic strategy consulting goal. What is this going to get you to? And if it's that you have a knack for problem solving and be able to see a situation and be able to take into account all different levels, and you've been able to do this really well at X level, and now you need the MBA to expand that to more parts of the company beyond going beyond making a recommendation, but actually coming up with a strategy for implementation, then that's what you need to leverage, right? Like if you have this unique skill, tell them why. So don't just say most people, because this is the thought, right? Is that adcoms see people applying to consulting roles all the time because it's what they think that they need to do. And it becomes very boring or bland when you don't really have a reason behind it. So, I've talked to people before and I'm like, okay, yeah, I think that you have a legitimate reason as to why you would pitch going to consulting or strategy consulting. And this makes sense because typically their long-term goal is outside of consulting, that they have experience in this world. Then they want consulting to be able to learn how to do problem solving, etc. And then they want to be able to use that exposure and knowledge to grow in a different, in that same field from before.
Thank you, Jen. And I think it's time for us to wrap up as well. Thank you, everyone, for great questions. It was fun answering them as well. Before we wrap, Jenifer, any last piece of advice, your 2 cents for people who are working on their applications right now?
Yeah, so I would say that don't count yourself out. Yes, you might be from an overrepresented applicant pool, but think about the unique things that you have to contribute. Do your research. That's the important part for these schools, is to not seem boring in the next application, is to really tie it to what this school's ethos is, their personality, as well as, talking to current students or alumni and having that feel for the school and what relates to you specifically. And that's how you're going to get admitted with an overrepresented application or profile, so to say. But don't count yourself out either, and don't say Wharton's going to have hundreds of finance applications. Why would I apply? Why would I stand out or get admitted? Take the chance, right? I would go for it and see, where you can be, and be open to the other schools that are on the list too.
True. Don't self-reject yourself, as Jen says.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not sure, or you want to find your niche. You want to talk about your profile in particular. Schedule a session with Jen. Share your CV, and then decide further. Okay, have that session done. Uh, Coming up next, Jennifer. Next session that we'll be having on is how to use AI in your MBA application. Not how, basically AI usage in your MBA applications. So what is okay, what is not okay, how adcoms looking at how they spot the usage of AI and everything around it. So I would recommend, please
Yeah.
use that session. That's very important, and that's what the buzz is all about. These days. Additionally, I would also want to say a bonus thing that we are yet to announce on our other marketing campaigns, etc. That we are about to start a free resume campaign wherein we'll select 10 lucky applicants who will share their resume, and we will select them 10, and then we will give, not we exactly, the entire ARINGO experts team, this consultant, the senior consultants, etc. They would give you feedback on the structure, the quantification, how you're demonstrating your leadership skills, etc. So those will be very detailed feedbacks given to you. So if you want to avail that, wait for our social media campaigns to roll out soon. And it's like a rolling selection that we'll be doing. And first 10 spots, when they'll be filled, we will stop that. So, so look out for that. And yes, schedule a profile evaluation with Jenifer. Her calendar link is there. And yeah, meet you in the next session. Until then.
Excellent.
Bye,
Yeah.
Jenifer.
Bye, Priyanka. Thank you. Real quick, I'll be sending out a follow-up email with these, the recording and information about following up in our next session. But feel free to reply to that with any questions. And we'll also be sharing it on YouTube. So if you log on to YouTube, please like and share it as well.
Thank you so
I
much.
know.
Thanks for adding
Shameless
that,
plug.
Jenifer.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
Priyanka.